What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome to the channel. Pretty Little Liars Summer School dropped its first 2 episodes this past week, so let's go talk about them. This video is going to be about episode 1, then we'll have another video about episode 2 coming out shortly. Now, before we get into it, if you could hit that subscribe button down there and drop a like if you enjoy the video, and for future Pretty Little Liars Summer School content all summer long. So let's just dive right in. The first episode of season 2, we actually pick up right where we left off. It's Christmas morning. Imogen is still with her baby at Tabby's house. Kelly calls Imogen to tell her that her dad's dead and Chip's dead. The girls and their families are in the living room talking to the deputy. Farron says, "Isn't it your job to keep serial killers from getting out and killing more people?" Oh boy, if you could see what was going on a couple towns over in Rosewood, I don't think they're teaching much at that police academy there in Pennsylvania. Now we see Archie go back and tie up some loose ends from season 1, Madame Geary, Noah's mom's drug dealer, and Steve Mouse's weird dude who she was acting to be his daughter like in season 1. 1 week later, New Year's Eve, Imogen is worried that Archie is still out there. Tabby says how it's the anniversary of Angela's death, so he will probably pay tribute to her per usual horror movie, killer movie logic. So they call the detective, and we see them catch A at Angela's grave that night. The girls are relieved when they hear this and now think that it's over. I think we're just getting started here, though, unfortunately for the girls. 6-month fast forward, and they are in a session with good old Dr. Sullivan from the original Pretty Little Liars series, talking about how they've been afraid the past 6 months, worried that A will get out. Dr. Sullivan says either A, Archie will be sent to Welby, or get the death penalty. Now, Welby, if we remember from the original Pretty Little Liars series, if you watch that, is the state psychiatric hospital where Charlotte De Laurentiis stayed, obviously Allison De Laurentiis stayed, and then Mona stayed at the end of the series as well. At the pizza spot is the first time Mouse brings up SpookySpaghetti.com, which is going to be a big storyline this season, saying, "I can show you what people think Archie's face looks like," because obviously wearing a mask. Tabby gets an email from Piff Festival about her movie not getting picked. They tell her to put the movie online. Mouse says, "I can link it to Spooky Spaghetti." As Imogen says, they never got their day in court for what Chip did to both Tabby and Imogen last season. Chip didn't have to pay for what he did to them. We see that Noah is staying at Sean's house while her mother is in rehab. Imogen is having nightmares. Specifically, the first one that we see is with A rocking her baby by the window, and then she wakes up screaming. Next morning, she drops a basket off of baby goodies at the baby's new home, and their dads come outside and ask her to stop stopping by so much. She's checking in, and she's clearly, you can kind of tell the context of the scene that she's, worried about her baby. Estella is the baby's name, and worried about A going after her. Sean's mom tells Noah the next morning that she heard her sneaking into Sean's room last night and says, "You're welcome to stay here, but when you're under my roof, you gotta live by my rules, yada, yada, yada," and ask how her mom's rehab is going. Noah said, no word on when she's getting out, but she's counting down the days. We see Farron destroying Greg in a pull-up competition in the gym and takes all the boys' money. Farron and Henry are then talking about if her doctors have cleared her yet, or any word when she can start dancing again. And Farron says that they said to continue strength and conditioning. Moose finds on Spooky Spaghetti pictures of the girls and their names, which haven't been released to the public yet because they're underage. Plus, there's a thread on Angela and Archie's mother, Bloody Rose Waters, with pics of her in locations where the girls have been, such as cemetery, the school, and some other locations as well. And according to good old Spooky Spaghetti, we're going to reference that so many times this season, it seems like Archie skinned his mother to make his mask that was wearing in season 1 to punish her for keeping him in a cage all those years. So the bloody bandages on Bloody Rose Waters is from her face being skinned. Supposedly, you can summon her by looking into a mirror. Angela also looked in and say Bloody Rose Waters 5 times and she'll appear. Over at the movie theater, Tabby and Wes are talking about her movie, and Chip's mom ends up coming in during the conversation. She's upset, basically calling her a liar, and tells her she has 24 hours to take it down, or she'll sue her and her mom for defamation. At Davy's grave, Imogen drops off flowers. Tabby's mom goes with her and says she gave a tour of your house today and thinks she found a long-term renter, but found a big stash of supplies and presents for Estelle in the house, and asked if she was going to kidnap her or if it was an excuse to keep on seeing her. Imogen says there's nothing to stop Archie from going after her when the verdict comes through. Tabby's mom made an appointment for Imogen with Dr. Sullivan, with just her to see if she can help. First time we see Tabby's film is with Imogen playing Tabby from that night at the school in the final episode of last season, where A asked Tabby to carve an A on Chip's chest for what he did, and in the movie that Tabby made, Imogen stabs Chip, or the actor that's playing Chip, should I say. Tabby reads some comments after watching the video and makes the video private. The girls go to the school restroom to do the Bloody Rose waters in the mirror to see what happens. Nothing happens except the janitor coming in and scaring them. Dr. Sullivan asked Imogen if she's taking the anti-anxiety she prescribed to her. She said she doesn't want to be medicated when Archie comes for her, and because Estelle can't defend herself. Then now we get the line that some people love, be problematic for others. When Dr. Sullivan asked about how the first couple Imogen chose for adoption she pulled last minute, which we know to be Arya and Ezra, that was revealed in the last episode of season 1. Imogen says, yeah, because I got a weird vibe from that Ezra dude. Dr. Sullivan says, or was it because they lived far away in Rosewood and the winters are close by? Okay, I hear everyone go on a little rant here for a minute here. I hear everyone, believe me, that did not like Ezra in the original series, because obviously that was a problematic relationship that Ezra was in with Arya when the show started. I get that, I promise. But do we not remember that when the show left off and throughout the series of the show, they broke up and they weren't together. And, Arya went through college and, some adult life before they even got back together at the end of the series. So listen, I don't want to sound like I'm defending the teacher-student relationship. Like, yes, that isn't the obviously most legal or any way that a relationship should start like that. I'm not saying that at all. The only problem that I have is like, yes, there was always the portion of the fan base that didn't like that relationship. I get that, and didn't like that they got the big happy ending at the end of the original series. But you could tell that was where the series was going to go, right? Like, we can all understand that that's what a lot of the fans wanted. Yes, a lot of the fans didn't want that, but a good amount of fans wanted that Ezra relationship. This is the only thing I have the problem with, and it's really the only thing that I have a problem with the other spinoff, the Perfectionist from a couple years ago as well, is we're changing stuff from the original. You can add to it, but you don't need to go back and change anything that happened in the original, right? Kind of think like this is really cross-pollinating like fan bases, and anyone who watches this might not even watch the series, but the TV show Dexter. So I grew up in middle school, high school watching Dexter. The ending of Dexter, was it probably the best thing to do? If you've seen it, then no, it probably wasn't the smartest way to end that series. Even if you haven't watched it, you probably know that the finale of Dexter wasn't the best way to do it, right? But then about a decade later, they come back with Dexter New Blood. They don't change anything that happened in that, but they pick up the story and add onto it and, fill in some gaps that make things maybe make more sense or continue to add to the story. But you don't change anything really from the original. Now, if you change small little details, I don't even have an example, but small little details, that's one thing. But you're changing major things that were Endgame. That was the problem with Perfectionist that I had. Sasha Pierce was just talking about this on the Pretty Little Liars True Crime podcast. You broke up Emily, and Allison 3 episodes into the Perfectionist, and they were getting a divorce. We're 3 episodes into this series that I thought it should have got at least a second season, but it got canceled after 1 season, and we're making these huge decisions on changing something that was built up for 7 seasons in the original, right? And same thing here is the only problem I have with this is you're not saying oh, Arya and Ezra are broke up, but now it's for people that are maybe just getting into the series with Summer School, maybe now has a skewed view on the original. Again, I want to say this, not defending that relationship at the beginning. My main problem is, why are we changing stuff from a show that's been off about 7 years now? We're going back and changing stuff. Just add to it. If you wanted a way to bring them in, then okay. But I kind of find it hard to believe, which I think I saw. I don't know if it's true, so that's why I don't want to touch on it too much. I thought I saw that Bailey Madison, who obviously we know plays Imogen, said that was kind of on her request, that she didn't want to have it in the story, giving the baby to Arya and Ezra because of that relationship in the original. Me, I can see both sides. I just still kind of wish they just wouldn't have touched it. They wouldn't have done anything that way. Like, if you wanted to bring someone in from the original, then maybe, okay, maybe have that storyline with, Spencer and Toby or Hannah and Caleb. Like, have a story like that or something like that if you want to tie something into the original. And I hope they do continue to, because I know a handful of the, original cast members said they would love to be on this. It's doing really well and they would love to come back and be a part of it. I just wish they would have done this in a different way. Not going to make too big of a deal about it. I know, kind of rambling for a couple minutes here, that seems like that, but I just wish they would have done that in a different way. That's all. Imogen tells Dr. Sullivan, "You have no idea what you're dealing with." Oh boy, I think she knows a little bit about what she's dealing with. She tells her, "You really shouldn't hang around the house. You're like a beacon calling A to you and Estelle." Imogen drops off one last basket for Estelle and has a note on it. Last one, it's a blanket from her grandmother. Wes shows Tabby an article in the paper from Chip's mom about the forgotten victim. Farron and her mom have an interesting encounter with Kelly's mom at the grocery store and talk about the new church they attend. Farron goes to see Kelly at the church, and she said she's doing good with remote learning and everything else going on. Farron tells Kelly about the summer dance thing with Henry, and we also learned that the doctor actually gave her the all clear a couple weeks ago, but she's been discovering herself outside of dance, basically, and wanted to see how everything was going without it. Farron tells Henry to go after she called and told them to give her spot to someone else. He says, not going without her, he'll stay here for the summer. In Dr. Sullivan's office, Tabby is reading Chip's mom's article. Tabby agrees it's not wrong for her to grieve her son, but she called her a liar and is basically disgusted with the whole situation. When her and Imogen didn't get their day in court, but Chip's mom gets to write this article in the paper about her son, Dr. Sullivan tells her, "You're a writer. Put this anger down on paper." Mouse sees on Spooky Spaghetti about Bloody Rose's cabin found in the woods and cancels a date with Ash. At Sean's house, Noah says her mom's getting out and thanks for the hospitality after a snarky comment from his mom while playing Monopoly. Oh, that doesn't include room and board for the last 6 months. But Tabby tells Imogen she wishes she would have done what Principal Clanton and A asked that night and carved the A and branded Chip in the school that night. Mouse, Noah, and Farron go to the woods to find the cabin. They find it only for Ash to show up. He said he got on Spooky Spaghetti after Mouse canceled the date and saw the post, so he went there. Archie gets the max sentence, we find out. The death penalty. Dr. Sullivan asks if they want to continue their sessions. They all want to continue. Noah says, as long as my mom is in therapy, I may need some support. So there we find out that Noah is lying about her mom getting out to Sean and the rest of his family. Tabby says she put her rage to words. Then you cut to Chip's mom walking up to his grave with rapist wrote on it. Sitting on a rooftop, all the girls talk about having a good summer, and Noah says briefly how her mom doesn't know she moved out of Sean's place and has the apartment to herself until she comes home. End of sophomore year, they all get called to the office, find out because of their grades they have to do summer school. And scene is cut to Bloody Rose's cabin with a random couple in there. They don't see her, but they end up staying and fanoodling around, if you will. And Bloody Rose shows up and stabs them. So that does it for episode 1. Now, I'm going to try to do this after every episode, kind of give a, check into who I think A could possibly be. Because it seems like we're going to get an A reveal every season. As of right now, I'm kind of on it just because I get a creepy vibe from her, Kelly's mom. I think she could possibly be involved in this somehow. I don't have a whole lot of reason. As of right now, it's only episode 1, so we'll be looking for more clues throughout. But she just creeps me out. Get a weird vibe from her. But we'll see. We'll keep tabs. We'll try to do this at the end of every episode as well. Give kind of a check-in of who we think A could possibly be for this season in terms of, and who Bloody Rose is, if they're working with anyone, such as Archie and Clanton from season 1. But anyway, that'll do it for this one. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.